Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Marketing Matters. I'm Sarah Touchstone, Landmark Titles social media marketing strategist and educator. I'm joined today with Deanna Bone. No bones about it, Deanna, with DPR Realty. I know, I saw your tagline. I was like, I love that. And Deanna, she's amazing. Like she does, we were chatting earlier today about her QR code and why it is an integral part of her business. And she's going to tell you guys a lot more about that today. And there's a particular reason she was alluding to why it's actually on her Zoom background. So Deanna, do you have a presentation that you're sharing with us?
I do. Can I share my screen? That way we can all see what I'm doing.
Yes, you are a co-host, so you have screen sharing abilities.
You'll just want to continue. Yes, I do. So, all right, let me see if this works. Do you see my screen?
I do. It looks great.
Okay, awesome. So as I'm doing my presentation, I'll talk a little bit about my journey as to why this became such a huge part of my real estate business. You know, this is even before COVID. This hit. So I'll explain why this is so important. And I'm so glad that you did say that we love questions. To me, that's how making it interactive is what's going to make all of our time here so much more better, more enjoyable. So what we're going to talk about today is pretty much how I leveraged out-of-state agent-to-agent referrals. Just as an example, I average about 60% of my business is referrals from realtors from other states. So, and there was a process on how I did that. And I'm hoping that today, everybody on here can learn something from it and, you know, take a piece of it and do it. Cause I think that's what's great about these marketing matters is because we're not encouraging everyone to change what is in your wheelhouse, but maybe add to it so that we can change as the markets change and as the world gets smaller, because technology is making the world so much smaller, right? And trust me, I'm in my 50s and technology was not my best friend. So, you know, learning this. So I always like to ask the very first question is, what does leveraging out-of-state agent-to-agent referrals mean to the people in the audience? Because I want to know, you know, what brought them here? What was something that they said, oh, well, what does that mean? So, and unfortunately, I can't see the chat. So Sarah, I'm going to leave that to you to tell me if anybody has made any comments on that.
All right. Yes, guys, please weigh in. What does it mean to you? And like I said, the chat's been a little glitchy, but the question and answer has been working.
Beautiful. So, oh, I see a hand. Yep.
I think that's me.
Oh, okay.
What does it mean to me?
We'll just give it a few seconds. If not, then we'll go ahead and move on. But I always like to ask that because, you know, there's a reason that you should be coming to these meetings. It's not just to have enjoyment or, you know, waste my time for 30 minutes to an hour, but it's actually to learn something and get us one step higher.
Let's see. We do have a comment. Professional partnerships is what it means.
Good. All right. I like that. I like that. Well, let me tell you what I think it means. I think it means creating a pipeline or another pillar of income of qualified referrals from like-minded real estate agents. Now, I did not put across the country because it could also mean state to state. I mean, in our state, I actually get quite a few referrals from agents inside our state that don't want to cross the boundary of the West Valley or the East Valley, or agents that don't want to go outside active adult or anything like that. So it could be within the state, it could be state to state. I actually get a lot of referrals from Canada as well. So it's just, but it's a whole nother wealth of a pillar of income, right? On top of our database of our buyers and sellers that we have, we should have another pillar that's just realtor based. And that's the part that we're going to be talking about today and how I've honed in on that. So please let me know if people have questions. I don't mind questions as it goes on. I may, if I know that question is going to get answered coming up, I may say, hey, hold that thought. It's probably coming up in the next couple slides. So just kind of interrupt me, Sarah, when we need to. So why agent to agent is important. Here's one of the things that I always like to say. It creates a steady flow of quality, higher price point clients That was one of the biggest things, especially when they're coming from like California, or some of those higher price states. It helped my sales price jump up tremendously by that. The line of trust is already built before we even meet those buyers or sellers, because that agent is already stepping on there, glorifying you and letting them know, trust her, I trust her. So that trust is already built, right? Because that's one of the hardest things when we get a new buyer or seller, especially off our signs or off social media or what have you. But that just breaks them in completely into trusting you like day one. Adds another pillar, like I said, of business to your real estate career. It is so important to have that second base. And let's face it, it's cheaper than buying leads or clicks, I like to call it, from Zillow or any online sources. I know, buying leads might work for some people, but for me, it just was not in my wheelhouse. And it was a lot cheaper just reaching out and making a phone call to an agent and letting them know I'm there to help them out. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey. Now, please understand, I'm not telling you my journey to impress you, but I want to tell you it to impress upon you that it is so important right now to have systems in place and also start thinking outside the box, because our market has shifted so much, right? So please understand that's what this journey is. So in case you don't know who I am, I started my real estate career back in 2003, and I jumped right into Buffini and Company's coaching. If you know who Brian Buffini is, he's been around for a very long time. And I'm blessed because my actual coach, which is the beautiful lady with long black hair, is Brian's sister-in-law. So I've been really blessed to have Beverly on my side for years now, 11 years, almost 12 years. Just like most of us out here in 2007, 2011, we crashed, my market crashed, but I had to rebuild after the recession. And that's when I jumped really into one-to-one coaching, going, well, if I'm going to make this, we're going to do it. 2014 is when I created the Deanna Bone team. There's 3 of us. We don't have a big team. I am looking for that 4th person, but it's just my assistant, which traditionally her actual title is Director of Client Care. And then I have 1 showing specialist. And of course, I'm looking for my first listing manager. So that's where I don't want to have a huge team. I want to keep very service related. Very personal relationships with both my database and my agents that refer me. In 2018, which is what we're here to talk about, I started the Coffee Over the Miles with agents from coast to coast and into Canada. We're going to go into that in the story of Coffee Over the Miles. It's been crazy. It's been a great blessing. If you don't like coffee, you can have wine over the miles. It doesn't matter. But that's where I started. It was in 2018, which of course was before the pandemic. And then in 2021, it was very interesting watching my numbers grow. And remember, these numbers are just from agent to agent referrals. This does not include the database that I have also going, but my out-of-state referrals hit 51% of my business back in 2021, plus earned me over $600,000 in gross commissions just in 24 months. So I tell you, this works. So the question is, you just got to be able to work hard and very intentional. And hopefully I'll give you some tips on how you can create this same database. Because there's just so much business to go around, and there's millions, thousands of realtors out there that you can tap into and build your own database and your own wealth of that. And then in 2022, Sarah, you might have heard Beth Klauser, who my favorite marketing rep is. Sorry, they're all good, but Beth is my favorite. I was honored to be on Brian Buffini's Peak panel, where there was 3 of us who built relationships agent to agent in different ways, totally different ways. So I was honored because I'm one of his top 1,000 realtors, that they actually opened it up and asked us to tell us our story and how we can help other agents do what we did. So that's kind of my journey. Very quickly, a Reader's Digest version into it. So now what I want to do is tell you what is Coffee Over the Miles, that story, because that is why, we're here, why Beth asked me to come on board and talk about it. So about the end of 2017, my husband, one of his coworkers, which ended up being one of my clients, asked him, what does your wife do all day? Right? What does your realtor wife do all day? And all he said was, she drinks coffee. That's all she does. Because what I was doing was breaking bread with my clients. I was always having coffees with clients every day, physically walking into a Starbucks or whatever coffee shop there is out there. So yes, he was correct. But what I said was, well, at least I turned coffee into contracts, right? So my assistant heard me say that. She bought me this mug for Christmas that same year, right? So here comes 2018. And I'm like, Brian Buffini was talking very heavily to start agent-to-agent networking. But he wasn't giving us any advice on how to do it, right? Do it with what you can. So I sat there staring at this mug going, well, how can I turn coffee into contracts with people that are not even in the state, right? And not even here. And so looking at that, I said, well, I did just buy into a new product back then called Zoom. I'm sure we've all heard of that.
So ahead of your time, Deanna.
So ahead of my time, right? Yeah. I was like, okay, but I was only on the free version at that time. So 45 minutes, whatever. And I'm like, well, how do I take this Zoom meeting and ask agents to have a cup of coffee with me and get to know me, right? And so that's what I started doing back in 2018 was I was reaching out to agents. First of all, I looked at what was the state that was coming into our state, right? And again, prior to pandemic, it was still California, Washington, right? Those are the states that tend to come into our state. So then I started reaching out to realtors in those states saying, would you have a cup of coffee with me just so I get to know who you are and maybe build relationships that we can put referrals back and forth? And it was one coffee after another. By 2021, I had over 600 coffees. Now, please understand, I didn't drink 600 coffees. I did have a lot of water.
Are you sure? I mean,
yeah, some
people can add it up pretty easily.
Right. So, but it was working. And I'm like, wow. And I actually enjoyed doing it so much more, right? Because I was actually being able to talk to them. And you know what the power of it was that I didn't even realize was going to come. I got to learn about what they were doing in their market and bring it to Arizona. And it was like, well, what are you doing? Oh, well, what are you doing? And not only that, I was able to talk the same language to their clients because I knew their language, if that makes sense, because we all have different markets. Every state is different. Every contract is different. So with me having these coffees with these realtors, and then they were referring me to their clients, I already knew how that person spoke to that client. And then that also was something of a reliever to them. So I was learning about markets shifting, changing. What were they doing in New York? What were they doing in California? What happened in Canada? And then of course, what happened? The pandemic. Pandemic hit hard, right? So then what I did is I turned coffees into contracts or coffees over the miles, not just with the agents that I wanted to get referrals, but then I started seeing them refer me heavily. I started having coffee over the miles with potential buyers and sellers. So now I physically have not shown a home myself in 2 years. Have not done it.
Nice.
Not done it. But I've met every single one of my buyers over coffee online. And I do my buyer presentation over Zoom online, every single one. Now I do have a showing specialist who actually does the showings, right. But I'm the contractor, I'm the negotiator, I'm doing everything. And I realized the power of Zoom, of getting to know people in another state. And it wasn't as hard as you think it was meeting people. And I'll give you some tips on how I did it in hopes that you do. So, the basics of this is realize who can you have a cup of coffee with somewhere else that can refer you to a database, right? Because I ended up realizing every single phone call or Zoom meeting I was having was a $10,000 check. That's each one ended up being. So I thought that was a pretty good, ROI.
Yes. Yeah. For free Zoom, good. 45 minutes.
That's right.
Awesome.
45 minutes. But I can tell you during the pandemic, I was doing them 3 to 4 times a day.
Yeah.
It was not easy. It was not easy. And I don't want to make it lighthearted to say that it was easy. Now I only do them 4 times a week.
Yeah. Well,
right?
I think when the pandemic hit, we all were like, oh my gosh, what can we do? We can get on Zoom. And they were spending all day long on Zoom. Zoom fatigue became a real.
It was real. It was real. I was more burnt out than anything at that time.
A lot. Yes. A lot of people were, because it was such an adjustment so quickly. Mm-hmm. And, our brains really weren't wired for it. I think now we're all at a great pace with it. There's not this like huge, got to do it. But there was, when the pandemic hit, it was like our only line of communication. Like the Dixie cups were there and we were going to use them all day long, every day.
All day, every day. But you know what? It was also a blessing, is because it opened up a wide door to where we could talk to our clients, our database, and they didn't know what to expect. So I was able to lead them faster into what I wanted for my real estate world. Because remember, we have the traditional, we got to meet them at the coffee shop. We got to do this. We have to do that. We have to do this. Well, especially when my world opened up to so many buyers coming in from out of state. And they were like, oh no, we do it this way in California. We do it this way in Texas. We do it this way in New York. We do it this way. And so coming in here, when I brought this out, it was like, no, we do it Deanna Bone's way. And we controlled it. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And it still works. I mean, year to date right now, I have 50 referrals. Year to date. Out of the 50, 40 of them came from another realtor.
Nice.
And that's because of these coffee over the miles. So it is the most powerful, and you can keep all your Zillow leads you want. Keep them all you want. But this is something that I have to take very seriously and very intentionally. And I'll give you some tips on what to do. But this, I hope somebody takes this and does it. I have trained so many realtors to do this, very more specific than what I'm doing here. And it's sad to say that 9 out of 10 will never finish it, because it's hard. It's not easy, but you know what? Start it, get it intentional, and have a goal set on what you're going to do, and it will fly. If that makes sense.
Sure does.
So the very first thing you always want to look at is, well, how do I find the right connections, right? Well, what you have to do, especially if you're starting this up front, is hunt for introductions. Introductions into realtors outside of your area, right? So the very first thing I'm going to tell you to do is open up your database, right? Call all your clients, because I guarantee you they know someone out of state. I guarantee they know someone out of state. And you ask them, you know what I need? I need an agent out of Santa Barbara. Who do you know? I need an agent out of San Diego. Who do you know? You are going to find all these openings, right? And the reason why I say watch your stats, look at where we're coming from. Where are the people coming from? And start looking at that, right? I love talking to my lenders and my title reps. Where was the last 5 deals you got? And they're like, oh, well, we got ours from Washington, or we got ours from Denver, or we got ours from here. Really, could you introduce me to those agents that did that job? Because all of a sudden, those agents now are going to start introducing you to another agent and another agent and another. And yes, guys, this works with Arizona agents. I did. When I knew, I'm very good at what I did. As soon as I have an agent on the other side, I ask them, where did you get your client? And they usually, especially right now, are saying, oh, well, they came to me from out of state. Really? Where did they come from? And would you introduce me to that agent? What's funny is people will introduce you all day long. They really will. I don't want you to look at another realtor as competition. Their database is their database. I don't want their client. I want the next one. Because what I found out is 9 out of 10 realtors stop connecting with that original realtor who gave them the referral, and they will forget you. So remember, your database of agents, same thing as your database of buyers and sellers. It's your job to keep in front of them, not the other way around. So reach out to your database and ask them, Also, then reach out, like I said, to current lenders and title reps. Every single time I talk to my lenders, I'm like, hey, have you met any other new realtors in another state? Seriously, I ask them. You can ask my lenders about that. And they're like, I actually did. I just met such and such from New York. Would you introduce us? They'll do a quick email introduction. Boom. Now I'm reaching out to them going, would you mind if we have a Zoom meeting or a coffee over the miles just to get to know each other and see how we can maybe build a deeper relationship? And even maybe I can give you some referrals. You tell me one realtor that's going to say no. So it works. Ask other agents. Like I said, even in your state. Oh, and when I have coffees over the miles, I ask them, is there any other agent I should be introduced to? So now I'm calling them going, hey, Beth Klauser, she asked me, she told me all about you and how you really do well in Santa Barbara. I would love to get to know you better. So I can drop their name. Now they're going to have a coffee over the miles. And now I'm going to put them in my database. And now I'm going to put them in my daily, weekly, monthly, yearly connections. Make sense? Number one thing, attend events. That's the big one, like this here. Attend events, both in person or online. Go to out-of-state events. I can tell you for the last 3 years, not so much the last 2 years, let's go prior to that. I travel. This year's the first year I got to go back in to where I actually get on a plane 3 to 4 times a year to go to some kind of real estate event to grab more business cards. Right? So I have a job. Every time I go, I have to come home with 10 to 20 new business cards that I did not have. And then what I do is I call every single one of them, or I email them, or I text them, because, we got to do like 100 different ways right now. Right? So then I sit there and say, okay, can you have a coffee with me? Get them on my database, get them on so that I can start referring back and forth, right? Mm-hmm. So that is the importance of attending events. And a lot of realtors are missing that gold mine of attending events. Like I said, I have people that real estate agents here in Arizona that only work in Sun City. They don't go outside Sun City. And they literally call me. Just this year alone, one realtor has already referred me 3 times because she's like, I won't go outside Sun City. I'll take it. And I met her at We Serve event. So, think outside the box, right? So then when you get to this, you've got to have your activities in place and ready to go, right? And this is where I was saying consistency is the most important factor in deepening relationships with realtors, right? Just like your client database, you need to have a system in place to ensure you're building deep and important relationships with agents. And the most important thing is, like I tell people, build it before they come. Put it in your calendar now. Throw it in there. So the very first couple tips I'm going to tell you is start with an email, text, or call. Let them know who gave you the information and what your intentions are. My intention, Sarah, is to build a relationship with you and hope that you and I can refer each other back and forth. That's what my intentions are. And they're like, well, yeah, I'd love to hear that. What realtor doesn't?
Right.
Right. One of the most important things is a must is either Zoom, Google Meet, anything like that. Right. You've got to have something like that. I prefer Zoom. It's only $15 a month or $16 a month. That's cheaper than 2 cups of coffee. Have also, it's so important, a good CRM, right? And the CRM must keep track of your daily activities. It must keep track of your numbers. You've got to know what's working or not working, right? You've got to be able to look up who's referring me, who's my top referrers, because I might send them, a nice card, or I might send them flowers on their birthday or something a little bit more special. That CRM is going to make or break your activities of what you do to build that relationship. Make sure your calendar is set up to have your connection times with agents, just like you do with clients. These are non-negotiable marketing times. And that's what a lot of people forget. I have agents that cancel them all the time. I'm going, but that's your marketing time. Are you wanting to get rid of your marketing time? I'm going to tell you right now, every one of my clients, I push them around my marketing time. And I've never lost a client for it. You just got to be okay to say, no, I can't do that time, but I can do this time. Right? Yep. So then make sure it's very consistent and on a regular basis each day, week, and month. You can't stop it. This is a sample of what my weekly activity is, only for my agent to agent connections. This is not, my database is very similar, but remember how I said I have two pillars going, right? I've got my clients, my buyers, and my sellers, but now I also have all my agents to agents connections. So what I do every single day, every day my CRM gets opened and I need to know, who am I contacting today? I always reach out and make 5 phone calls, and I always write 5 personal notes every single day to my agents. And again, this is on top of what I do with my clients. And then of course I post, text, or call on their birthdays. That is so important that you do that. I do all 3 of those. I also send them a note card the week prior to say your birthday's coming up. Do weekly. This is what I do. I do 4 coffees over the miles every single week. I set them up on Mondays and Tuesdays. I have 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, both days. Those are, again, non-negotiable. If for whatever reason I don't have something in that time, well, that's my catch-up time now. Maybe that's the time I need to start making more phone calls to get the next week filled up. Like this morning, before I got on this call, I reached out to 19 people that I met just recently to get the coffees for the next few weeks. Right now, my coffees over the miles are booked out almost 8 to 12 weeks out right now. And then I send a note card after each meeting. I update my CRM with them. Hey, what is the best mailing address? You'd be surprised how many I got their home addresses versus the office. Then monthly, send out a newsletter to agents about Arizona.
Oh.
Make sense? I want them to all know I'm their Arizona connection. I don't say that I work Phoenix, Scottsdale, Mesa. I don't say that. I want Phoenix or Arizona. And the reason why I say it is we all know 9 out of 10 people who land at Sky Harbor Airport are in our area. It's Maricopa County or Pinal County. We know it. It's huge, right? So I always let them know I'm your Arizona connection. So my newsletter that goes out has the Arizona flag. It has saguaro cactuses. I'm letting them know about the weather. I'm letting them know about the Biltmore. I'm letting them know about what we're having the Super Bowl here, right? That's what my newsletter is to them. I may let them know about the market in Arizona. Okay. And then I always have update on my agent referrals every month. So every agent that refers me, I'm calling them back going, hey, just FYI, because here's a power too. If I can't get a hold of their referral that they gave me, guess who helps me get a hold of them? I call them going, I've tried to reach George Smith and I can't reach him. Can you help me? Oh, I'll get you. And then I also do a lot of videos, which Landmark has helped me do. I do a lot of video market updates. If you follow me on social media, you'll see a lot of it up there. And every single one of them came because of who Landmark has referred me to. Not that that was part of my thing, but I have to admit, that's where I got it. And then yearly, I look at it every year. What agents do I need to add or subtract? And then I always send out yearly updates on referrals and reminders. I send note cards when they refer me with a gift card. I send a package after it's closed. I'm constantly in front of them because again, my ROI, my rate on return of investment is a lot cheaper doing it this way and building that community of referrals agent to agent.
And we have a quick question.
Yes.
Which CRM do you use?
I use Referral Maker from Brian Buffini. It's only $50 a month. And the reason why I like Referral Maker is because it brings back up my A pluses and my A's if I haven't reached them for 30 days. So in other words, my connection, I may not get to all my C's, right? But I'll get my A's are people that have referred me more than once. I should say my A pluses, you've referred me more than once. My A's, you referred me once. My B's, you told me you would refer me, but I need to teach you. I need to get it better. And my C's are people that are just introduced to me. So I may not be able to get to that. So Referral Maker throws them back up front.
Nice.
I love it. I love it.
Nice. And as always, the best CRM out there is the one that you will use.
Amen. And let me tell you, when I first got it, I didn't use it well. Now I have it on my phone. I mean, it's up all day long. And it's also up with my team. My assistant, she stares at it all day long. All day long. And it's funny as I have, a lot of people are like, oh my God, but I do have Facebook up and CRM. Why? Because I'm looking for life changes.
Yeah.
Birthdays, anniversaries, moving, whatever. Makes sense? I want to know. So that's how I update both of them.
Nice.
So the very biggest tips I'm going to tell you, if this is something you want to do, is you have to be very intentional. You have to know who you're going after. Now, I don't mean what, when I mean who, I should say where are they coming from? You need to be very consistent. If that person says no, or they say no this time, go back after them in 2 or 3 weeks. Or if they cancel, because you will have a lot of realtors cancel, well, then go back at them and say, okay, I'm going to get back at you at 3 more weeks and say, hey, can I get you on again? Let's go. Be prepared. When I mean be prepared, get your calendar ready. Get your calendar prepared for when are you going to do it? And they're non-negotiable times. The biggest tip I'm going to tell you is keep it 1-to-1. Never have 3 to 4 agents at one time on a Zoom meeting. Remember, just like when I would have a cup of coffee with my buyer or my seller, where do you build big, deeper relationships? It's because you're 1-to-1, right? If you have 2, 3, 4, 5 people on Zoom, you're now in a small group, or you're now in a training scenario. You can't ask them personal questions. So you have to do it 1-to-1. It is, and this is where it takes forever. This is the long-term market idea. This is not just fly by night. This is part of my marketing plan. And then biggest thing, don't give up. Keep going. It may take you a while, because I can tell you it took about 6 months to start seeing it. Because our bottom line is to get referrals and build our database. That is. But my intention when I go and meet agents is, how do I help them first? And that was my mindset. So how can I help you first? And then go from there. And it may not be able to get them a referral, because we have a lot more going from California into Arizona than we do Arizona going to California. But there are other ways that we can help them. So teach them something that you're doing. Like I teach them the coffee over the miles, or whatever we need to do. Or I might show them my buyer presentation that I do online, or I might show them myself, right? I'm helping them grow. So think about that. So now I'm ready for questions, if there are any.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Sarah? Is it something different, or?
Oh, this was awesome. Like really, really awesome. And I love the fact that this was something that you had established, and then it just fell so incredibly well into, the pandemic. I mean, just awesome foresight there, Deanna. I mean,
well, I didn't think it was the pandemic, let me tell you. And like, I do want to give, where it needs to go is I believe heavily in coaching. No, I mean, I know how to do this business. I know how to do it. But for me, the coaching helped me think outside the box. And when I was told we are going to have a migration of the world. Now, Brian Buffini did not think of COVID. That did not his thing, but he knew people, we've got to build that pillar. I just had to come up with a way to do it. And that's where the coffee, and it just fell during pandemic, and it was perfect, but it's still a daily activity I have to do to keep it up, because let me tell you, people can forget me like that.
They do. I mean, in this industry, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when saying, that the majority of people forget their agent that they used last time. It is.
Do you know they said that 75% of clients would reuse their realtor if they remembered who they were?
Yeah, if they remembered. I mean, that's the real pandemic in our industry.
It really is. Oh my gosh, you are so right. It really is. It is crazy.
All right, Deanna, we do have a question. How are you finding the buyers from out of state to have Zooms and coffee with?
The realtors that I'm meeting.
Yes.
So what I'm doing is, as I'm talking to the realtors, I'm like, look, if you know anyone that's moving into Arizona, I'd love to be your Arizona connection. And then all of a sudden they reach out to me and going, hey, Deanna, I just met someone that's moving. I need to list their house, and they're moving to Phoenix. Is that an area you handle? Absolutely. So again, it starts with the agent to agent, and then they start referring me to you referring to the people they meet. Here's what's interesting. The people I'm meeting coffees with, it's not so much coming from them, but it's agents in their office that they meet.
Nice.
It makes sense. So it's like a 2-tier. So if the agent I had coffee with is in her office meeting in Santa Barbara, and then someone says, I have a buyer that I need to send to Phoenix, they're like, oh my God, I know one, it's Deanna. So then that agent reaches out to me and says, hey, agent number one, I would say agent number one told me to call you. So then what I do is I send a note card to agent number one, because she's the one that referred me to agent number two, even though agent number one's not getting a referral.
Yeah.
It's agent number two. Does that help?
Yes.
That's how I'm finding them.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And it's sellers too. It's not just buyers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Good question. Very good question.
Awesome question. Well, if anybody else has any questions, may I please get the recording? That's a question. Yes, absolutely. This recording will be available after. Just reach out to your business development manager. If you do not have a business development manager, let me know, and I'm happy to introduce you to one. Obviously, yep. Deanna, she uses Beth. She gave Beth a very nice shout out. I
love Beth, but I do have to tell you, they're all awesome. And if you guys have any other questions, you're welcome to email me. I answer questions all day long, for this reason. I think it's such a heavy, needed marketing option in our world. Because technology can make or break you if you're using it the wrong way. I don't like online leads. I think they're horrible, and I think they're clicks. And that was just me. I know people love them. It's not in my wheelhouse. This was in my wheelhouse. I'll have a cup of coffee with you, Sarah, any day of the week, and hope that you'll introduce me to someone that's thinking of moving or selling into or outside the state of Arizona.
Well, Deanna, I loved having a cup of coffee with you this morning as well. And just like we started out talking about before the presentation, there are so many different types of marketing because there are so many different types of agents. And that's what Marketing Matters is. It is just a little tidbit on what you can do for your business. There are so many different avenues. So if you're interested in this one or any other ones, reach out to your business development manager and they can get you information about this. I'm going to wrap it up today with a few other classes that we have going on. Deanna actually mentioned our market stats and how she turns those into videos. And we have that going on tomorrow, Market Insights. This is going to be tomorrow at 9:30. We do this every month. Scott Kibbers, he's an armless specialist, and he goes over the stats, facts, figures, and really dives into what's going on in our market. Guys, if you are doing only one new thing for your business, get the market stats. Get on them and use them because your clients need them now more than ever. So if you need the link for that, reach out. We'll get you registered tomorrow at 9:30. Then we've got our second class for our CE series. So every spring and every fall, we do one online CE class a month. Once again, this is another beautiful byproduct of the pandemic. It's a quick, easy way to get your CE credits. We've got our next one coming up on Thursday, September 22nd. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's online. If you'd like to get registered, this is going to give you 3 hours of disclosure credit. And then we're bringing it back. For those of you that have been with us for years, you may remember the Arizona Real Estate Series. And obviously, this is an in-person thing that kind of went by the wayside for a few years. But this is really a great series, and we're excited to bring it back to you. We're going to kick it off Wednesday, September 28th, with a top producer panel. So this is how to shift, how to thrive, and how to pivot in our shifting market. So if you'd like to attend this, let us know. Guess what? There's a QR code on it. You can just go ahead and scan that right now and register. There is a donation for the Homeless Engagement Live Partnership. This is the organization that we are doing our Adopt a Family projects with. So please consider donating and joining us for that. And then moving into a few more classes we have in September 8th, we have another CE class. This one is going to be in person in Arrowhead. So this is a general credit about appraisals. If you'd like, we'll give you the registration for that as well. And then wrapping it all up, Wednesday, September 14th, we have another in-person CE class. We're going to make sure you guys get, all the credits that you need. So if you ever need a particular credit as well, reach out. We'll get it scheduled. That's one of the great things about having business partners like you have at Landmark Title is what we are here to do is make sure that all of your needs are fulfilled. So this is another in-person. This is just general. This is September 14th from 9 to noon over in Peoria. And that's it for us today, guys. Thank you, Deanna, so much for coming on. Of course, thank you to all of our wonderful business development managers. Deanna said it best. She said they're all wonderful.
They really are. They're awesome. So appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
And then, of course, thank you, as always, to Landmark Title for allowing us to bring you Marketing Matters every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Be on the lookout for what we're doing for our 100th show, guys. It's coming up. And thank you, of course. Not only do we love helping you with marketing, but we would love to be on your next contract as well. So please think about writing us in there. We have 7 offices across the valley to service all of your escrow and title needs, as well as one in Prescott. And that's it for us today, guys.